I watched in complete shock as flames devoured my wedding dress. The snow-white satin I had worked on for 6 months was turning into a blackening, melting nightmare. Barbara Thompson, my future mother-in-law, stood before me in the bridal suite of the Grand Hall in Boston, still clutching the lighter in her manicured hand. Her face was distorted with triumphant malice. "Now you won't be able to marry my son," she declared, hysteria ringing in her voice. "Nathan needs someone from our circle, not some girl from the outskirts." She carelessly tossed her designer purse over her shoulder, clearly pleased with herself. "My name is Sarah Miller. I'm 25, and I never expected that half an hour before walking down the aisle, I'd be watching my wedding dress burn." My 3 bridesmaids stood frozen in shock, their purple dresses in stark contrast to the smoldering fabric at my feet. "Mrs. Thompson," I said in a surprisingly steady voice, reaching for my phone, "you have no idea what you've just done." She laughed, the sound brittle as glass. "What have I done? I saved my son from the biggest mistake of his life. You think your education at the local college and job at Harbor Creative makes you worthy of the Thompsons? My Nathan should be with Madison Brooks. Her father owns half of downtown Boston." I pressed a button on my phone, watching Barbara's expression. My bridesmaid Ashley quickly went to the window and opened it, trying to release the smoke that was already filling the room. "The wedding is off," Barbara continued, waving her hand dismissively. "I'll just tell everyone you got cold feet. Nathan will be upset for a while, but then he'll understand." "Are you sure?" I asked, turning the phone screen toward her. On it was a live stream from the ceremony hall. Elegant rows of white chairs, the flower arch at the altar, and a huge screen currently broadcasting this very room, Barbara in all her glory at the moment of her destructive triumph. Her face went pale. "What? What is this?" "A live wedding broadcast," I calmly explained. "For Nathan's grandparents in Georgia and my sister who's serving overseas. It's been running for 20 minutes, all arriving guests, musicians preparing to perform." I paused, meeting her gaze. "And you, destroying my dress and expressing your true opinion of me." "Turn it off!" Barbara lunged for my phone, her perfect hairstyle starting to unravel. "You planned this! You set me up!" Ashley stood between us. "Mrs. Thompson, everyone just saw you commit arson on live stream. Think about what to do next." The phone in my hand vibrated with incoming messages. Jessica, another bridesmaid, glanced at the screen and gasped. "It's Nathan! He's coming here to the bridal suite!" Barbara's eyes widened in panic. She looked around the room as if searching for an escape route. "This isn't what it looks like. I was just testing the fabric. Wedding dresses should be fireproof." Muffled voices of gathered guests came from the phone. The camera angle shifted. Someone had taken control of the broadcast. Now it showed the wedding participants' reactions. Nathan's father sat stone-faced in the front row. The best man was already running toward the building, but most telling was Nathan. He was no longer waiting at the altar but racing down the central aisle, his face a mixture of shock and fury. "Sarah," Emma, another bridesmaid, whispered, "what about the ceremony? Should we tell everyone to leave?" I looked at the smoldering remains of my dream dress, now just charred scraps on the ancient wooden floor. The practical part of me, the one that had worked 2 jobs while studying in college, was already calculating the next steps. "No," I said firmly. "The ceremony will proceed, just differently." The door burst open. Nathan stood in the doorway, still in his tuxedo, his gaze darting from my face to his mother and then to the ruined dress on the floor. Behind him appeared the Grand Hall managers and his father, both horrified. "Mom," Nathan's voice was dangerously quiet. "Tell me this is just a dream, and I didn't just watch you burn Sarah's dress while declaring her unworthy of our family." Barbara instantly changed her tone. "Darling, you don't understand. I was protecting you. This girl has been after your money from the start. I was testing her character and—" "Enough." Nathan cut her off sharply. "Enough lying. I heard everything," he said, turning to me, his gaze softening. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was capable of this." I carefully stepped around the burnt pieces of fabric and moved toward him. "It's just a dress," I said, though we both knew it was much more than that. "But your mother just showed what she thinks of me, of us, in front of everyone we know." Nathan took my hands in his, seemingly oblivious to his mother's indignant exclamations. "What do you want to do, Sarah? You decide." Before I could answer, Harold Thompson, his father, appeared behind Nathan. His face was grim. "Barbara, what have you done?" His voice was low, controlled, but there was a sharp edge to it I'd never noticed before. "Harold, please," Barbara pleaded. "You know the Brooks would be a much better match. Their family has been part of the coastal elite for generations, and this Sarah is just an upstart who succeeded through hard work." Harold shook his head with evident disgust. "This time you've gone too far." My phone kept vibrating with notifications. I glanced briefly at the screen. Messages from guests following the live stream were pouring in. The Grand Hall coordinator hesitated in the doorway. "Miss Miller," she said, "guests are asking what's happening. Should we make an announcement?" I looked again at the remains of my dress, then at my bridesmaids in their purple outfits. A plan was forming in my mind, one that would turn Barbara's attempt to ruin the wedding into something entirely different. "Tell them plans have changed," I replied, "but the ceremony will start in 20 minutes. Barbara snorted. "In what? Your underwear?" "In a backup dress," I calmly interrupted. Silence fell over the room. Nathan looked at me in confusion. "You have a backup dress?" Of course I didn't, but 6 months of working with demanding clients at Harbor Creative had taught me to always have a plan B. "Emma," I turned to my bridesmaid, "remember that photo shoot for the Marine Bride last month? Call Clara and ask if she still has that trial dress." Emma's eyes widened in understanding. "The satin one with lace trim? It should fit you perfectly." Harold stepped forward, taking out his phone. "I'll send a driver for it. Where is it located?" While they organized the dress delivery, I turned to Barbara, who stood watching as her plan crumbled before her eyes. "Did you really think a dress would stop this wedding after everything Nathan and I have been through?" "Everyone's watching," she hissed, pointing at my phone. "They all saw what happened." "Yes," I agreed. "And now they'll see what happens next." I turned to the camera, knowing guests were still watching. "To everyone waiting, thank you for your patience. The ceremony will be slightly delayed, but love always finds a way, even if someone tries to burn it." Cheers erupted from the phone's speaker as guests in the ceremony hall expressed their support. Nathan squeezed my hand, pride in his eyes. "Mom," he said firmly, "it's time for you to leave. Dad will drive you home. You're no longer a welcome guest at our wedding." Barbara's face contorted with rage. "You're choosing her over your own mother? After everything I've done for you?" "After what you did today," Nathan cut off. "Yes, absolutely." The next 20 minutes flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Barbara was escorted out by security. Harold insisted on it, apologizing to me. Clara from Marine Bride rushed over with not one but 3 trial dresses. The The bridal suite transformed into an impromptu workshop. Bridesmaids, coordinator, and even several female guests who volunteered to help bustled around. "This one," Ashley declared, holding up an elegant satin dress with delicate lace. "It'll perfectly highlight your figure, and we can prep it in minutes." The Grand Hall's seamstress, originally hired just for minor adjustments, worked miracles with pins and quick stitches. Meanwhile, Nathan returned to the ceremony hall to personally address the guests through the live stream, which someone had thoughtfully redirected to the altar. I heard his words. "Today didn't start as we all expected," he said, his voice remaining steady despite everything that had happened. "But Sarah and I have always believed that marriage isn't built on perfect circumstances, but on how we handle imperfections together." The hall responded with applause. I smiled while Emma adjusted the borrowed veil on me. "Ready?" she said, stepping back to admire her work. "You look stunning." The dress wasn't the one I'd dreamed of becoming Mrs. Thompson in, but looking in the mirror, I realized it suited me perfectly. Simpler, more elegant, and somehow stronger than my original choice. Like me, it had adapted to circumstances rather than surrendering to them. Harold Thompson gently knocked on the door before entering. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Sarah, you look beautiful," he began, but fell silent, his face clouding with pain. "I want to apologize for Barbara. Her behavior is unforgivable." "You don't need to apologize for her, Mr. Thompson," I replied. "After all, you weren't the one who burned my dress." He nodded gratefully. "Nathan asked me to tell you everything's ready whenever you are. And," he smiled slightly, "your boss from Harbor Creative is here. Seems he's documenting everything for what he calls the most viral wedding campaign Boston has ever seen." I laughed. Marcus always could spot advertising potential even in catastrophe. Working in advertising had taught me that the most compelling stories are born from overcoming unexpected challenges. The Grand Hall coordinator appeared in the doorway. "We're ready, Miss Miller. The musicians are in place, lighting adjusted for your new dress." "Wait," I said, as an idea struck me. "Is the stream still going?" She confirmed it was. Then I quickly decided, can we put it on the screen in the hall for a few more minutes? I want everyone to see us walking from here to there. The whole journey, not just the arrival. 10 minutes later, my bridesmaids and I were walking along the Grand Hall's garden path toward the ceremony hall. I knew each of our steps was being broadcast to the guests, not as a traditional bride's entrance, but as something more powerful, a statement that nothing, not even a mother-in-law with a lighter, would stop this wedding. As we approached the hall doors, I heard rising applause. Nathan waited inside, and his face lit up when he saw me. "Ready to get married?" he asked, taking my hand. "More than ever," I replied, squeezing his fingers. The ceremony that followed wasn't the one we'd rehearsed, but it felt more real than anything we could have planned. As I walked to the altar in my borrowed dress, guests rose to their feet, applauding instead of the traditional reverent silence. Their faces showed not just usual wedding joy, but something deeper. Respect, admiration, solidarity. Harold Thompson stood in the front row, occasionally glancing at the empty seat where Barbara should have been. Our eyes met, and he silently expressed his support. Our officiant, Reverend Miller, no relation, though we'd joked about it, improvised beautifully. "Dear friends," he began, "we're gathered here today not just for a wedding, but to witness the triumph of love over adversity. Sarah and Nathan have already faced their first test as a couple and met it with dignity, resilience, and unwavering dedication to each other. During our vows, Nathan added words that weren't in the rehearsal. "I promise to stand beside you against anyone who tries to separate us," he said, his voice carrying to the last row and beyond to those watching the stream, especially if it's someone from my family. When it came time to exchange rings, Nathan's face clouded with momentary panic. The rings had been with his mother before the ceremony. But Harold immediately stepped forward, producing a velvet box from his pocket. "I took the liberty of collecting them earlier," he quietly explained, "just in case." After we were pronounced husband and wife, the hall erupted in celebratory jubilation, as if collectively releasing the tension that had built up throughout the day. As we walked back down the aisle, I noticed Marcus, my boss, discreetly filming from the side. He gave me a thumbs up, a gesture mixing professionalism with genuine emotion. The reception that followed in the Grand Hall's ballroom was unlike any wedding I'd been to. Instead of polite conversation and standard rituals, there was an almost defiant spirit of celebration. Someone had quickly created a video filter with a phoenix rising from ashes and our names below. "Your wedding is trending on local social media," Ashley informed me as we entered the reception hall. Tyler, Nathan's college friend who worked in advertising, approached us with his phone in hand. "The Sea Herald's asking for a comment. Their real-life stories editor learned about the stream through a niece who was among the guests. They're calling it Boston's undefeatable wedding." Nathan hugged me around the waist. "Tell them we're grateful for everyone's support," he replied, "and that true dedication is about overcoming obstacles together, not running from them." As the evening progressed, I noticed Harold Thompson having tense conversations with various relatives, clearly trying to keep the situation under control. Aunt Patricia, Nathan's sister, approached our table during dinner and leaned in to speak privately. "Harold is beside himself," she confided. "Barbara was taken home, but she's threatening to write Nathan out of the family business if he doesn't come to his senses." Harold told her that after today, she should be worried about her own position in the company. Nathan squeezed my hand under the table. "Dad has always been the backbone of the family," he said. "Mom just didn't notice because he let her think she was in charge." When our first dance began, I couldn't help but notice the empty tables by the stage. Places reserved for Barbara's yacht club friends who had quietly disappeared after the incident. Their place was taken by colleagues from Harbor Creative, filling the void with genuine support. "Harold is handling the aftermath like a professional," Marcus noted, approaching us after the dance with 2 glasses of champagne. "He's personally thanking everyone who stayed and subtly letting Barbara's allies know they won't be missed." Nathan nodded with new respect, watching his father work the room. "I think I'm seeing him openly stand up to her for the first time," he said quietly. 27 years of marriage, and today became his turning point. The wedding photographer, originally hired by Barbara, cautiously approached us. "Mrs. Thompson, the younger Mrs. Thompson," she clarified with a smile. "I captured some beautiful moments today, but I wanted to ask about the dress incident. Some guests took photos. Would you prefer I ask them not to share those?" Nathan and I looked at each other before I answered. "I think honesty is the best approach. It's part of our story now." As if on cue, my phone vibrated with a notification. A short clip of Barbara setting my dress on fire had already gained over 20,000 views on Boston's local news page. The comments were full of support, interspersed with stories from other brides who had faced difficult relatives. Marcus, scrolling through the comments, noted, "You may not have planned it, but you've started a movement. Resilience in the face of toxic family relationships resonates with people." Melissa, Nathan's cousin, approached our table, embarrassment and determination on her face. "I want you both to know not everyone in the family shares Aunt Barbara's views," she said firmly. "Most think she crossed a line that can't be forgiven." "Thank you, Melissa," I replied, genuinely touched. "That means a lot." As the evening continued, Nathan received a message from his father. He read it silently, then showed me the screen. "Your mother has locked herself in the guest house, demanding I choose between her and that girl. I told her her behavior today made my choice surprisingly simple. We'll discuss the way forward when you return from your honeymoon. Proud of you both. Dad." "Are you okay?" I asked quietly, watching Nathan carefully for signs of regret or doubt. "I'm perfectly fine," Nathan replied, squeezing my hand. "For years, I watched Mom undermine Dad's authority, belittle you, and manipulate everyone around her. Today, she finally showed her true face not just to us, but to everyone else." 3 months after the wedding, Nathan and I attended the annual Thompson Family Foundation Gala, our first major public appearance since the honeymoon. The event, usually organized by Barbara, had been completely reimagined under Harold's guidance. "Nervous?" Nathan asked as our car pulled up to the Coastal Cultural Center. "A little," I admitted, smoothing the skirt of my dress. An emerald masterpiece from Clara's boutique, who had turned our wedding story into a successful campaign about resilience and new beginnings. Inside, the atmosphere was drastically different from previous years. Tense formality had given way to genuine warmth. Harold met us at the entrance. He looked years younger without Barbara's oppressive presence. "Here they are," he beamed, embracing us both. "The couple who inspired the Foundation's new initiative." He led us to a display showcasing the Thompson Family Foundation's new program, Phoenix Rebirth Grants for women starting life anew after difficult changes. The Foundation's logo now incorporated a subtle phoenix motif. "We've already approved funding for 15 women," Harold proudly explained, "each rebuilding after challenging circumstances." As we mingled with guests, I noticed that Barbara's absence had changed the guest list. Gone were many of the social climbers and status seekers, replaced by people genuinely passionate about the Foundation's work. A young woman approached us, introducing herself as one of the grant recipients. "Your wedding story gave me the courage to leave a toxic marriage," she said. "Now I'm starting my own business." Later that evening, as Nathan and I found a quiet moment on the Coastal Cultural Center's terrace, he received a message. "Mom's coming back to Boston," he said thoughtfully, looking at the screen. "Dad says she's agreed to see a therapist if she wants any chance at reconciliation." I squeezed his hand in support. "Whatever happens with your parents, we'll handle it together, just like we handled the wedding." He smiled, pulling me closer. "Some fires are meant to destroy. Others just show what can't be broken." Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.